Hey guys, Joe Tunney here at Infiniti of Kirkland in Kirkland, Washington, just outside of Seattle. And if you're anything like me, you had parents and teachers when you were growing up who always had very clear ideas of right versus wrong, and you got to stay the course, and you got to do things the right way. You've got to do things the way that are kind of standardized in this world that we live in. Well, our good friends at BMW took right versus wrong and threw it completely on its head and did everything completely the opposite of anything that makes any kind of sense in the entire world. And you may be saying to yourself, well, Joe, you're being awfully hard on this beautiful car, and I'm not actually being hard at all. It's a car that doesn't make any sense, and maybe that's the purpose of the X6M, a car that at almost $100,000 is definitely one of a kind. It's a high-performance sports car, of course. It has 555 horsepower and 501 pound-feet of torque, so it's unbelievably fast, but it sits high like a truck. And so you say, well, of course it sits high like a truck. It's a crossover sport utility. Yet it has almost no interior room and only seats 4 people. And so even above and beyond that, in the back seat where you have just 2 people can sit, the rear seats don't even recline, and then it has such a thick slope in the back half of the car that you actually have not very much space. This is more like a compact car inside, not like a big sport utility. So you could look at it and say, well, you know, it's fast and it is what it is, but the real trick on this car is that it handles like Adrian Peterson trying to evade traffic out in the open field. I mean, this thing takes turns unbelievably well. Yet it weighs 5,300 pounds. It's unbelievably heavy. So it's completely different than anything else out on the road, and in a way that really doesn't make a lot of sense, but maybe that's the single appeal of the X6M, a 555 horsepower menace that is really fast. It does handle really well, but it sits up tall like a truck or like a conventional sport utility, but not anything like its X5 sibling, which is far more spacious inside. Let's take a look around this particular vehicle. It's a 22,000 mile 2012 that was just traded in here at Infiniti of Kirkland. Has that nice 3M clear bra on the front so you don't get any rock chips or anything like that. That's always a popular feature on these modern aerodynamic vehicles. If you take a look at this color, it's called carbon black or carbon Schwartz. If you know anything about BMWs, whenever you pop the hood and you look inside there, it'll always tell you the color of the car, and it'll always tell you in German. It's always been that way. I've never understood why they don't have them in English. Come taking a look around. Black leather interior, looks great. It's actually very, very impressive inside and very comfortable, particularly for the driver, not so much for the rest of the crew. Now again, I've got the seat in a comfortable position for me in the front, and for such a big vehicle, I'm actually kind of compromised in the back seat. There's really not a lot of headroom in here, and then again, because the rear seats don't recline, I can't get super comfortable. But to be honest, if I really do want to sit upright and I do want to sit in a fairly comfortable position, I can be adequately comforted on a 2-hour drive or something like that, so I should be okay. But for this kind of vehicle, you expect to be able to take a family, you know, on a cross-country adventure. Definitely not in an X6. Taking a look at the trunk, it's fairly spacious. However, it's fairly spacious with the rear hatchback up. If I put the rear hatchback down, it actually limits everything to about this height right here. So tall enough for suitcases, maybe a weekend run to Costco, but definitely you're not loading this one up for bear. Now this particular car is a really nice car. It's in excellent condition. Again, it was just traded here at Infiniti of Kirkland, but the previous owner obviously took very, very good care of it. Come on around, let's take a look inside. The one big plus on the X6M is that because it does sit tall, for a different kind of driving experience, it's actually pretty great, especially for real world driving. 555 horsepower doesn't sound half bad. It's a V8 with twin turbochargers and an automatic transmission. Most of the time when you have turbocharged vehicles, and more likely with twin turbos than with single turbos, you're going to have some kind of turbo lag somewhere, somehow. You give it full throttle, and turbo lag just means it just doesn't respond all that well, and then all of a sudden, wow, it gives you all that power all at once. And that's not the case in the X6M at all. There's no turbo lag. If nobody told you there was turbos in this car, you'd have no idea that there were. The one thing you would know that there's turbos about, though, is performance. This car is 0 to 60 in roughly 4.5 seconds. I've seen as low as 4.2 seconds from 0 to 60, but whatever the case, it's awfully, awfully fast. It has wonderful technology. It has heads-up display. That's the little box there, so you can actually see what's going on, your speed indication and what have you, right on the windshield, so you don't have to take your eyes off the road. It does have paddle shifters. It does have thickly bolstered seats. Like all BMWs, it has these nice extensions in the front whenever you get the sports package, and all X6Ms are sports package vehicles. Not really any options on the X6M other than the package that includes things like the heads-up display, rear view camera, and the like. It's hard to believe rear view cameras are optional, but on a lot of German cars they are optional. And so this one, nice leather dash, nice leather seats. It's a cool car. It's a loaded car, but it's definitely a different car. If you'd like more information about this car, it's yet to even go through our service facility, which just traded in at Infiniti of Kirkland. Please don't hesitate to drop me an email anytime at joet@infinityofkirkland.com.